All right, so as you work your way through your lectures this week, I have a scenario that I want you to keep in mind as you explore the ideas. And the scenario is this. Imagine that you're some number of months away from the birth of your child, and you learn through genetic testing that your child suffers from a set of genetic anomalies. And these anomalies are going to cause this child to be born with certain challenging conditions, one of which is blindness. You know that because of some genetic anomaly, your child is going to be born with blindness. Not only that, they're going to be born with a cognitive disability. And on top of that, they're going to be born diabetic. Okay, so because of genetic anomalies, your child is going to be facing a very serious set of challenges in life, unless you choose to take advantage of genetic engineering technologies. Let's say that the doctors come to you and they say, we have the ability to go in, manipulate the genes of this developing fetus, this developing baby, in a way that would prevent it from coming into the world with blindness, any cognitive disability, or diabetes. Instead, it will come into the world sighted, perfectly normal cognitively, and non-diabetic. So the question now for you is this. Would you be morally permitted to sanction this genetic engineering so that your child didn't come into the world with these challenging conditions? Or would you be morally prohibited from doing so? Or would you be morally obligated to? Would you actually be doing something wrong if you didn't take advantage of this genetic engineering technology and instead allowed your child to come into the world with these very challenging conditions that are going to create some significant disadvantages for your child throughout its life? All right, now imagine this scenario. It's not that your child is born with any of these health disabilities. Instead, it's just born with some genetic predispositions. So we know through this genetic testing that your child is going to come into the world with genetic predispositions towards alcoholism, towards obesity, towards criminal deviancy. There's no guarantee that your child is going to become an obese alcoholic criminal, but your child is going to be challenged by certain predispositions toward these kinds of things. But once again, through genetic engineering, you could eliminate these predispositions and your child wouldn't be challenged by extraordinary impulses towards alcoholism or criminal deviancy and so forth. So again, would you be morally permitted to alter your child's genes so that it wasn't contending with these genetic predispositions? Or would you be doing something wrong if you altered the child's genes to prevent these conditions? Or would you be morally obligated to do whatever you could, including genetic engineering, in order to eliminate these genetic predispositions in your child? Now imagine that your child's not coming into the world with any of these genetic predispositions, is not coming into the world with any of the first mentioned health challenges. Instead, you just know, based on an analysis of the genes, that you're going to have an ugly kid. This child's coming into the world and it is going to be fugly, okay? And on top of that, it's going to be uncoordinated and it's going to be uncreative and dull, right? Now, these aren't health concerns. These aren't even behavioral concerns. These are just conditions that are going to disadvantage your child in life, right? You know that good-looking people have advantages that non-good-looking people, those of us in that crew, we don't have, right? Non-good-looking people have to work harder at some things than the beautiful people do. And certainly you know that coordinated people have lots of opportunities that uncoordinated people don't have. Just think about athletics, for example. And think about how uncreative and dull people are at a real disadvantage when it comes to the business world, for example, or in social circles, right? People who are creative and compelling and charismatic and interesting, those are the people we want to be around. Those are the people that we want to provide opportunities to, okay? So again, you could, if you choose to, manipulate your child's genes so that it's not born ugly, it's going to be born beautiful. And it's going to be coordinated and super charismatic and creative and interesting and fun to be around. So the question is, again, would you be morally permitted to manipulate your child's genes so that it were not born with these characteristics and instead born with more positive ones? Would you be doing something wrong if you manipulated your child's genes to prevent it from being born ugly, uncoordinated, and uncreative? Or would you be morally obligated to manipulate the child's genes so that it's born beautiful, coordinated, and charismatic? Okay, so what we're asking here is this, is if we have the ability through genetic engineering to make a better, quote unquote, kid, Should we do so? Or is there a line that we shouldn't cross here? And if so, where's that line and why do we draw it where we do?